Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Back to another episode of Pure Evil MMA. I got a very special guest with us here today. Antoine, the Dark Knight Caparotta, is joining me, and he has a big announcement for everybody that he just let everybody know on his Instagram that he's going to be going pro. So, what led to this big decision and everything else we're going to get into in just a second. But how are you doing today? It is, a happy Tuesday here in the East Coast. The weather's all right. It's been snowing over here. How have you been, brother?
Actually, it's wicked warm over here, so I'm feeling pretty good, Hopefully the weather stays nice, but I think it's supposed to get kind of cold, towards the end of the week. But, I've been doing good, training hard, feeling ready, kind of like pumped to get it going.
Yeah, you're coming off a nice little win that you just got over at Cage Titans, and you said that you were looking for an opponent. What was so hard about finding an opponent? Were people just turning you down, or what was going on there?
No, after my last fight, which kind of leads into my decision to go pro, after my last fight, I called for a rematch against, Chris Snyder.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember you calling him out. That was your main focus that night.
Yeah. I had a very close fight with him, back in the day, and, he's just kind of like uninterested in the rematch. And that was really the only thing keeping me amateur was, the possibility of fighting him again and, maybe coming out with a win this time. I really feel like I could do it. But, I've had 8 amateur fights. That's a lot more than a lot of people have. So it was kind of just time, I feel comfortable in there, and, now it's just the time. I feel ready.
Well, going into it, on this journey, once you became an amateur fighter, what did you think was going to be the sign that would be all right, now is time to be pro? Did it look anything like it unraveled to be?
No, not really. I kind of got into MMA a little bit weird.
So explain that. Explain a little further to our audience how you found our sport, because it is pretty new for a lot of people.
Yeah, I wrestled in high school, and my coach, the head coach my senior year, is actually a cage fighter out of South Shore Sport Fighting, which is where I train. And my best friend, JoJo Giannetti, he got right into cage fighting. It was kind of like always his dream. And I went to his first fight, and it was just the craziest experience. I was in college at the time. I was playing lacrosse. And I was like, why am I playing lacrosse when I could be doing that? And I started training in less than a year. I had a pretty good wrestling pedigree coming in. I was pretty experienced there. So I had a head start. And my coach kind of just said, hey, we have this fight. You could take it. We think you're ready for it. So I kind of just jumped right in.
It seems like there's a lot of fighters that's just how it happened. To kind of you just jump into the pool, and then you're there. And then it just unravels from there. You're talking about JoJo Giannetti. Shout out to Skeletor, by the way. What's the update on him? Because I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. Did he get on the Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah. So the UFC actually released this list, so I think I'm allowed to talk about that. But
okay.
He is out in Vegas. He is trying out for the Ultimate Fighter.
That was the last time I talked to him. I haven't talked to him since the day. I haven't talked to him since he flew out there.
Yeah, no, he's out there. The UFC put out a promo. They put out a promo for the Ultimate Fighter. He's in the promo twice, actually.
That's awesome.
So, he's making moves for himself. Hopefully he comes back. He comes back in a couple of weeks. I think 3 or 4 more weeks. Hopefully, to let us know that he's going to be on that finale.
This is cool. I don't mean to sidetrack from the conversation, but this is somebody that trains at your gym with it, which is the South Shore Fighting and Fitness. You got, I've interviewed a couple of people from your gym over there, including Mike, #Man Down, Danella, and it's just so cool watching all these guys just grow and go on the Ultimate Fighter. And this season especially, you got DC and Stipe. So I love seeing this. Every season there's somebody that has been on the show, and I think that's so fascinating. So a big shout out to JoJo. Wish him best of luck. Just even getting on the show is awesome enough. But let's jump back into your conversation here. So JoJo kind of guided you into the sport, because our generation really was, I say this all the time, when we were kids, we would go to baseball games, basketball games. Now you're seeing families bring their kids to MMA events like Bellator, UFC, and stuff like that. Like, the sport is really evolving. So JoJo helped you find the sport, and you got into amateur. Did it unravel the way you thought it would be to become a pro? Like, did you see the sign to become pro?
No, not really. I kind of I've had such a long amateur career, I think, because I never really felt comfortable. In my first 2 fights, they were good wins. I won by submission, but I didn't take any punches to the face at all. And then my 3rd fight, I ended up losing pretty bad, and it was the first fight I'd been hit, and I didn't really I wasn't prepared for that, I don't think, which is weird to say because it's most of the sport right there. But it just took me a while to get comfortable. After that, I was really considering do I want to be a cage fighter? Do I like getting hit in the face? Does anybody like getting hit in the face? Can I deal with that? And so far, I had so many fights. It was really about just finding out, is this what I want to do? And I think that I'm finally there where I'm ready to commit to the sport. I'm ready to give it my all. I think I'm in a good place skill-wise. I still have plenty of room to grow, but I think I've kind of outgrown amateur, and I don't think it really happened, the way I planned. I planned on being, undefeated, amateur in the beginning. I planned on, being, the champ for Cage Titans and whatever promotion I fought for amateur. I wasn't able to do that, but I feel better now than I have ever. And just pro just seems like it's the only move to make.
So was it the issue of trying to find a fight at amateur? Was that one of the biggest reasons for moving up to, deciding to be a pro?
Oddly enough, even with, the 8 fights, I never really had trouble finding fights. I had that one rematch in mind, and I had decided right after my fight with Stavros, my last fight, that if I didn't get that rematch, if he didn't accept the fight, I was gonna take my my game to the next level.
You were also calling out Brian as well not too long ago. Costco, whatever happened with that?
He actually got injured. We were scheduled to fight in January of this year.
Which you did fight. You did fight in January of this year, just to remind our audience.
Yeah. I did fight in January against Stavros Batinellis. It was originally supposed to be Brian Costco, though.
Okay.
Yeah, and he suffered an injury after his fight prior to that over at Combat Zone, and I don't really remember. We had a conversation about it. He had to recover, but they also offered him a different fight for Combat Zone. That was maybe a little bit more favorable. So, coming off a loss, he might have been looking for a win, or maybe just a little bit of a less challenging fight. He's taken tough fights, all throughout his amateur career. So, he really needs to grow and develop too. And I'm just not a really good fight for that.
So you announced that you're pro. Now, does Cage Titan reach out to you and your management? What happens from that moment where you announce, hey, I want to be pro? Have they approached you with any opponents yet? What's the rundown on that?
So I'm a huge thorn in the promoter's side. I'm always bugging them, always looking for my next opponent. So I've already reached out to him myself. And he says he's going to work on it this week. So I don't have any names as of yet, but hopefully soon I'll have a definite opponent. hopefully whoever he offers me, accepts the fight quick too.
But you have a date, right? They gave you a date?
Yeah, April 14th is going to be the fight. That is the next Cage Titans show, so that'll be my debut.
And where exactly is the event? It's where they always have it, right? The Plymouth.
Yeah, Plymouth Memorial Hall, right
Plymouth
there
Memorial.
right on the waterfront.
So they also have? Is that the same place they do CES? Or no, that's Twin River Casino. Because I was just there last week over at CES. What was it? 48.
Yeah, that's the casino in Rhode Island.
Yeah, and then I was just at Bellator this Friday, so I've been traveling all over the place. I don't think I've ever been out to Plymouth. So just explain to our listeners what it's like in case they're interested in coming to check out your fights, because we have a lot of listeners from the East Coast here.
Oh yeah, of course. The Memorial Hall is probably the best. I fought for another show, but the Memorial Hall is just the stadium seating, the fighters. From a fighter perspective, walking out onto that stage and then down to the cage, the lights just shining on you. From a fighter perspective, there's no better place to fight. And I know I was a fan first. Like I said, I went to go see Joe Giannetti fight. There's not a bad seat in the house. You can buy the tickets range from $50 to $100. You can buy the $50 ticket.
Isn't there like an upper deck too?
Yep, you're up on the balcony and you can see just as good. A different angle, but it's just as good as those bottom seats. It's all about just like where you want to be. Do you want to be right in the action, or do you want to be, maybe looking down on the action where you can see a little bit more?
So hopefully I'll be able to get out there, because they do put on a lot of great up-and-coming talent there. And another big thing about this, man, is your Batman name. You're like, where did you come up with this? Because Batman is one of my favorite. You can't really see behind me right now, but one of my favorite superheroes growing up. Your fighter's name is the Dark Knight. So what really is the story behind that? How did that get stapled onto you as your fighter name?
So my first fight ever was on short notice. I was fighting Steven the Joker Langless.
Okay.
And I only had a couple of weeks. It was my first fight. I only had a couple of weeks to market for the fight. And Joe actually said, well, why don't you just be, Batman, or
he's
maybe
Skeletor.
Dark Knight? Yeah, and he's Skeletor. Yeah.
I love this. That's great.
So he had brought that to attention to our coach, Bill Mahoney, who picks all of our nicknames. He picked the Skeletor nickname. He picked
Man Down.
I think he picked Man Down as well.
Awesome.
And he usually, gives us our nicknames. And I remember Joe had brought it up to him, and he really liked it. It's a really easy, very, very easy to market that. So, I picked it. It kind of stuck with me, and now that's just like, now I'm the Dark Knight.
I love it. And I especially love it even more that you guys are all going, like you guys are like a super team or something like that. Because when you go to the event, obviously you're fighting on the same card that a lot of people from your gym are fighting on. Some people win, some people lose, but at the end of the day, it's all fun. And to make names like that up, it just adds to the excitement. Like you guys are going in there like a squad. So it just adds like more of a story to it. So I really dig that. And, you were saying that you did wrestling in high school. Now, for the younger audience that is tuning in for this, back then, did you have any like interest in MMA?
I didn't even really watch it, if I'm being honest.
Because you're how old? 23?
I'm 23. Yeah.
23 years old.
Yeah, I'm turning 24 this year. When I first started wrestling my sophomore year of high school, and I think that I had seen one UFC event.
Okay.
That was it. I didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter. I didn't know any of the fighters. And then just I remember my coach, like I said, my coach was a cage fighter out of South Shore, and he had mentioned something about that. And around the same time that I started wrestling is when me and Joe became friends, and he was obsessed with it. So every weekend, we would watch, whatever fight was on. He filled me in on like The Ultimate Fighter. We watched all the old seasons.
I'm loving this story of I'm loving this entire story, this friendship bond over at South Shore over there. I'm loving it.
Yeah. I mean, like we're one huge family. I mean, we also have Manny Bermudez. He's debuting in the UFC this weekend. And the rest of the team.
He was just on a card for Cage Titans, right? He was on
the same one.
Yeah. He was headlining that card, right? The last one you were on? Yeah.
Yeah. Every time he fights locally, he has to headline because he's just like I don't know. the guy around here, you know.
So he's fighting this weekend.
He is fighting this weekend against Albert Morales. Yeah.
So who's he have in his corner? So is your gym a little absent right now? Because we're seeing right now, for the people listening, let me just catch our audience up. For the people listening to the podcast, they can't see where you're at. Obviously, you're at the gym right now. Maybe you're in the middle of practice or something. But is it a little empty there right now because your coaches are where even is the UFC card this weekend? Yeah, fill us in a little bit. What's going on there?
That's down in Orlando.
Okay.
That's
right, Mike. That's right. It's in Orlando.
Yep, down in Orlando, Florida. Manny and my head coach, Bill Mahoney, have already left. The rest of our coaches are still here, but the gym, I mean, like there's an echo going on. The gym is pretty empty right now. I'm actually preparing. I have a kids class I'm going to be teaching at 4:30 here. So I'm kind of like picking up for the coaches that are gone.
Yeah, picking up the slack.
Yeah, picking up the slack, just helping out where I can. But that's like a big thing over here at South Shore. We're kind of like just one big family, when someone, like Manny's got an opportunity like this, we all make sure it happens,
That's important.
So yeah. And like we just like always support each other. So, we brought up Man Down earlier. He actually talks to me about your podcast.
He's a big fan.
Yeah, he was telling me all about it. And also, just a real quick shout out to Front Proof Media for hooking us up here.
Yeah, big shout out to Front Proof Media.
Yeah, but no, Mike, like we just always try to help each other. So Mike and Joe have been really, really good about promoting themselves and all this other stuff. And I've been good about being the guy in the gym, to help anybody with their training. If we need to like give someone an extra push, I'll be the person to go in there and go pretty hard with them and all that. But I'm just now getting into, like really pushing my image on social media, really doing the interviews, really getting out there. And, Mike was huge in that. I mean,
yeah,
he's had 2
good
fights
at it.
so far. He's like a household name around Massachusetts. Everybody knows who he is.
I love that. I love it.
I love that, he's been able to help me out with that, and that's just kind of like what we do. If we're good at something and someone else, is maybe, falling behind there, where, we jump right in to help.
Yeah, he has a very strong personality. I love it when last time I did an interview with him, he had the kids there. They're all running around, and he was like, guys, be quiet. I was like, no, you got to embrace that, man. They're excited. They're seeing their dad do an interview, with a sports journalist. That's exciting. So big shout out to Mike Man Down. Big shout out to Front Proof Media. Before we let you go, as we get towards the end of this interview, unfortunately, well, let me start with this. You're just talking about social media. For everybody listening to the podcast that can't see the video cast, make sure you're following him at I am DK155. So I am Dark Knight, but it is at I am DK155. That's on Instagram and also on Twitter, correct?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So unfortunately, you guys aren't going to be able to see the gym because I'm guessing that's where you're at right now. Can we just get a little quick spin around for the YouTube audience here, the video casters?
Yeah, of course. I'm in the cage right now.
Okay.
So.
Oh, you're doing the interview in the cage. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the cage where you guys go in. And, there's a lot of fighters that, don't have the access to even having a cage. Sometimes they get like half a cage to work with, So
it's super important for, wall takedowns and cage takedowns. The cage plays a huge part.
There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference.
So we try to get as many rounds in here as we can just to, be familiar so we're comfortable when we get in the real thing.
So you're at featherweight, but you kind of been, your last fight, I believe, was at catchweight. What you're going in pro as a what? Featherweight?
As a lightweight.
You're going in as lightweight.
I don't think I'll be making the trip down to featherweight anymore. I've been struggling with it. Towards the end of my amateur career, I lift a lot and I've been putting on, some mass. Even getting down, I did my last one at 151. I had to go and like recut. I almost missed the weight. I really struggled to get down that far. I never really have trouble getting down to 155 though. I had a title fight at 155. I can make that pretty well. So I'm gonna, probably stick to lightweight for my pro career.
So who do you have there helping with dieting and all that? Who do you have over there with like setting up meal preps and stuff like that? Is that all you, or do you have somebody?
So I meal prep myself. I went to school to cook and stuff, so I feel like pretty comfortable.
That's sick. That's awesome.
Doing all that stuff. But as far as like what like as far as like making sure I get my nutrition and stuff, we have a coach, Ryan White, over here. He's a personal trainer by trade. So he's pretty good about knowing, what I should be eating during my cut. And he's like an invaluable resource. Honestly, I go to him probably like 3-4 times a week asking him like, hey, well, what about this?
So I'm loving this adventure that's going on there in 2018 at that gym. So I'm really looking forward to what's going on with Joe. I'm looking forward to your fight announcement, which is going to be going down very soon, I'd guess, right? You'll be getting your matchup with an opponent.
Yeah, hopefully within the next week. The promoter, Mike Pulvier, told me that he'd be working on it this week. So by the end of it, hopefully we know who I'm going to be, fighting. I'm looking forward to testing myself, And elbows and knees are always fun. That's part of the reason I'm going pro.
So make sure you guys are following him on social media, on Twitter, and also Instagram if you want to follow along with that. I am DK155. My last question to you here is, what was your favorite fighter in 2017? Who are you paying the most attention to in 2017?
You mean on like the local circuit, or
just anyone who really caught your attention? Even if it's somebody just coming up.
I would have to say, there was I can't really stick my finger on like just one. I really liked in the UFC. Darren Till made a huge,
big
huge
win over
impact.
Cowboy. Yeah.
Yep, he made a huge impact. I always love watching Cub Swanson coming off that Doo Ho Choi fight was really good. So I was really interested in what he had. Unfortunately, he lost to Ortega.
Yeah, that was brutal. But T-City, man, yeah, he's an up-and-comer that we're going to look forward to in a couple of weeks versus Frankie Edgar.
Yeah, who do you think wins that?
I'm a little nervous for Frankie, but usually when they send him guys that are up-and-coming, he usually puts the fire out. He did it with Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
He does it a lot. So I'm interested to see. Because if you watch a lot of Brian Ortega's fights, he's getting pieced up by fighters who really aren't that polished, especially as polished as Frankie is. So I'm interested to see who wins that fight. But on the ground, if it goes to the ground, I'm guessing that T-City might take it, because that is just so tight when he does apply the pressure. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's a risky spot for Frankie right now, especially since he just had that spot with Max Holloway. So we'll see what happens there, but it should be an exciting one. That's what we love about the sport, right? Not knowing the outcomes of it. Nothing's promised.
You never know.
So that's what keeps us all at the edge of our seat. Before we let you go, any shout-outs that you want to get out? Of course, shout-out to Front Proof Media for setting this interview up here. Any more shout-outs on your end there?
Yeah, I just want to shout out my whole team. Everybody over here at South Shore Sports Fighting, my training partners, my coaches. I'm also building a big team, outside of the gym. I have T6 supplements that are helping me get my nutrition right.
Oh, the promo code for that too, right?
Yeah, that's right in my Instagram. I have a promo code there. I just started taking their pre-workout. Definitely the best pre-workout that I've done. All my lifts are way up right now, so it's great. I feel really focused on my workouts. Impact mouth cards, they keep the smile nice and pretty.
Those are the ones with the Batman logos, right?
Yep, I have the Batman logo right on my mouth guard. They're really good, custom mouth guards. They're really affordable. You're not spending $500 on one. I think mine are like $70, and that's a steal for a custom mouth guard. Perfect fit.
And what about some gear? Of course, JoJo's got some pretty sick gear. Who's doing your gear? Where can our listeners and your fans get some of your gear?
I sell my gear myself, like the Dark Knight t-shirts. I have actually a new design coming out soon for this fight. You can check that out on my Instagram.
Can they get it at Plymouth Memorial Hall?
Yep, they'll be at the Memorial Hall even a couple weeks out. All you got to do is send me a message and I can get those out to you.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much. I want to wish you luck in this upcoming fight. We will stay tuned to figuring out who your opponent is, but we are looking forward to it. So thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA.
All right, thank you.